Welcome back to Kearsarge Valley Magazine. I'm your host, Lynn Solomon. Joining us now from Outspokin Bike and Sports Shop in Newberry is owner Will Hurley. Welcome, Will.
Thank you.
I see we're in the Outspokin shop area. What are we up to today?
Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about fixing a flat tire on your bicycle. If you haven't had one, you probably will have one. If you've already had one, you know how tough it can be, especially with all the insects, mosquitoes we have around here. So we're going to try to make you really quite the expert at fixing a flat tire. So we're going to walk you over here to our master mechanic, Matt, who has a bike here up on the stand, which makes it a lot easier, I'll be honest with you. But we're just going to try to give you the basics on what it takes to change a flat tire. First of all, we have to take the wheel off the bike. That definitely is something we have to do. So Matt's going to show you how to disengage the brakes. If you look closely, there's usually a way to pull the cable through a slot, to open the brakes a little bit wider. Most bikes nowadays have a little bit wider tire, so we need to kind of get the brakes out of the way. Next, he's going to go down to his quick release, which is just a lever there. And see how he has to unthread it a little bit. The quick release is actually a rod that goes through the axle. All the bikes nowadays have little safety tabs that are on the dropout. You point at the tabs right there on the fork. There's little tabs right there that in the event that your quick release opens, the wheel will get loose, but it won't fall out. So you have to unthread the quick release a little bit to get it out. So he's going to take the valve cap off. I'm going to have him kind of walk through it here. If there's a little air left in the tire, he's going to take something like a stick, or in this case a tire lever. He's going to empty the air, the remaining air, out of the tire. It's going to make it a lot easier to get the tire off. Now you notice in his hand, he's got what's called a tire lever. It's a piece of plastic that's actually pretty slippery. It's much better than a screwdriver. Highly recommend, if you don't have one of these, to get one or two. If you look at this little slot right here, that's designed to peel the tire out and actually hook on the spoke, and then you can use a second one to help get the tire off. Matt's good enough where he can probably do it all with just one. But these are very specific in design, and they're great to have in your flat kit. So right now he's just making sure that the bead of the tire is loose. A lot of times the heat of riding in the summer will vulcanize the tire to the rim. So now he's breaking the bead, you can see. And now he's basically sliding the tire lever around. If it doesn't come off that easy, sometimes you have to kind of work the tire lever around, but in this case it came off fairly nicely. That's cool. Now he's taking the whole tire off, and this is really important. This is how we're going to check, make sure there's no thorns or broken glass still in the tire. So he's going to pull the old tube out. See how it's stuck to the tire? That's the vulcanizing I'm talking about. He's going to run his hands inside the tire. This way is really the only way we get a lot of small, microscopic almost, thorns in this area, and of course broken glass is the same thing. If that's sticking through, nothing's more disappointing than having a flat tire right after you fix your flat tire. So we really have to take the extra few minutes to check. We like to pre-inflate the tube so it has some shape. This solves a lot of problems so that nothing gets pinched inside. Right here we have a dual head pump. This is for all the two different types of valves. I'm sure if you have had to go find an adapter, you know what I'm talking about. But these new pumps are amazing. They will work on both types of valves, so both American and French valve. So he's just going to put a little air in it just to give it some shape. These come out of the box. These new tubes come out of the box. That's good. And there's a lot of ways to do this. We prefer to install the tube in the tire first. That way we know it's installed properly. And then, so he's letting a little air out, make it work. First of all, he's got his hand right around the tire valve. He's going to find the hole in the rim, and he's going to start there, and that solves a lot of problems. He's going to set one side of the tire bead first in the rim and kind of walk it around. Now, once again, it's a master mechanic. Don't try this at home. The important thing to understand about putting the tire bead, now he's going to get the second tire bead. Now we have to worry about pinching the tube, and everybody is probably aware of that. If you're not, you have to be very careful about not pinching the tube, and that's where these tire levers come into play. No sharp edges. And by starting at the valve, the best part about that is that's where the reinforcement is on the tube. And we can also keep the valve straight. So there's a little extra rubber around the valve stem on the tube, so it makes it a little harder to sometimes work that bead around. So now this is the critical part here. We want to make sure we don't pinch the tube, so he's going to be very careful. Just kind of nudge it in. You can tell they fight it a little bit. And experience pays off a lot here. So now he's just going to kind of visually check, make sure the bead of the tire on both sides is set. It looks good. His valve stem is straight right now without very much air in there. You can kind of move your tire to straighten out your valve stem. He's going to go ahead and grab the pump with the dual heads on it. And a tire like this is on a hybrid bike. This is kind of an off-road bike. It's a dual sport, so it's kind of got a medium air pressure. Road bikes are anywhere from 90 to say 130 pounds. This one here, we're probably talking about 65, 70 pounds. And mountain bikes generally have a lot more balloon or width to the tire, so they run somewhere between 40 and 50 pounds. So we have a gauge on this pump, which really helps a lot. So he's going to pop that off. That air you hear escaping, that's just out of the actual hose. It's not out of the tire, so don't worry about that. And even if you lost a little bit of air, it's not going to be the end of the world. So now he's going to go ahead and put the tire up in. So remember, we had to unthread the quick release to make it come out. Now we have to spin the quick release a little bit, thread it in. And this is a cam lever. So you see how he's got it about half open, and then he uses the fork to squeeze it with his hand to make it tight. And when you're centered, that's key. Just want to make sure you, just a quick visual, that means you know you're in a good place. And then he's going to check the brake pads for alignment on the side of the rim. This is another crucial thing. Make sure the pads touch the rim, not the tire. If it's off a little bit, they'll rub on the tire, and that's the quickest way to a super flat tire, and those are not fixable. So now he's just going to reinstall the cable. He's going to squeeze it a little bit just to make sure it all looks good. And that, in essence, is how you change a flat tire.
Thanks so much, Will. After these messages, I'll talk to Marilyn